Good morning, Metalheads here, net. Welcome to a new episode of the Metal Meltdown, and today we're looking at the latest album from Death Angel, entitled Humanicide. Death Angel, an American thrash metal band, one that's been kicking around for a long time. Years ago, they were playing with Metallica and Slayer and Megadeth and Anthrax, but never quite rose to those levels of success, or even the levels of success seen by Testament and Overkill. They've always been underdogs in this genre, to the point where I don't think I've seen them do a headline tour by themselves in a super long time. For God's sakes, the last time they were here in Toronto, they were opening for two other bands, Slayer and Anthrax, at what used to be the Sound Academy. Not for lack of trying, mind you. In fact, Death Angel pushed for major mainstream success, with Act 3 being released on Geffen Records and perhaps being their most versatile and progressive record of their entire career. But nowadays, I think they're a lot more comfortable and honest with who they are, and as a result, their output from Art of Dying onwards has been extremely consistent, extremely enjoyable, and arguably on par with anything they released in their early days. And that brings us to this new album, Humanicide. If you're familiar with any of Death Angel's modern output, then you kind of already know what to expect. A lot of influence from modern heavy metal songwriting, influence from groove metal, even the odd power metal hook here and there, but ultimately it all still comes together under the umbrella of thrash metal, a spicier brand of thrash metal, but thrash metal nonetheless. However, even this spicy brand of thrash metal, I think, is starting to lose a bit of its flavor, because as different as it is from something like Overkill, it is still the same recipe over and over and over again. And maybe you're the kind of person that goes to a restaurant and likes to have the same dish over and over again. Maybe you depend on it even, like, man, I just want a cheeseburger and fries, that's all I want. That's cool on you. But for me, I'm looking for something even spicier. And full disclosure, I didn't feel like I quite got that on this record. Which isn't to say I didn't enjoy my meal. I mean, again, if you're just looking for... Which isn't to say I didn't enjoy my meal. In fact, there is a lot to still enjoy about the Death Angel sound. For instance, the immediate energy and confidence of this record. Death Angel still sound so hungry, so alive, youthful even. Take, for instance, a song like Divine Defector, one of the most abhorrent and vicious songs on the entire record. Vicious wails and guitar pyrotechnics followed by battering, hammering percussion with an almost hardcore kind of spirit underneath the thrash metal skin. It's a sheer brutality that harkens back to the old days of Death Angel with good modern polish. And speaking of a hardcore spirit, take a look at a song like I Came for Blood, which does legitimately have this very punky kind of attitude to it. A lot of the group metal-oriented stuff is really interesting on here. Take, for instance, a song like The Pack, which reminds me a lot of Dark Roots of Earth-era Testament, with its speedy gallops combined with conventional songwriting. Or a song like Alive and Screaming, which dims down the groove influence just a little bit to introduce some new influence from traditional heavy metal, even giving it this weird kind of Quiet Riot gone thrash vibe. Most of the album follows the general pattern and flow of these tracks, and while it's by no means new or particularly expressive, it is fun, it is dependable, it is consistent. And to the band's credit, they do try to actually experiment a little bit on some songs in the latter half of the record. Take, for instance, Revelation Song, a very clear attempt to incorporate more of a hard rock swagger in the vein of Black Label Society into the sound. Or a song like The Day I Walked Away, which is a little moodier and, dare I say, even progressive, arguably harking back to the aforementioned Act 3. Neither fully work, in my opinion. In fact, I would even argue that after The Pack, the album kind of takes a bit of a dip in quality, but they are interesting diversions and attempts at diversity nonetheless. Death Angel haven't quite dug themselves into a rut. They're still nowhere near as stubborn as Overkill, but it is clear that they are relying on a lot of the same tricks and ideas that they've been using for the last 15 years. Minor additions here and there throughout those 15 years have definitely helped a lot, but all things considered, if you come into this album expecting a Death Angel album, you're still gonna get a Death Angel album. It's not like it's a massive departure. It's not like the hard rock influence of Revelation Song or the groove of The Pack is a defecting point for anyone. So I'm going to give this thing a 3.5 out of 5. While I personally would still enjoy something a little bit more flavorful and characteristic and unique, there's no denying that this is still an extremely solid record. All the performances are really great, drumming, bass, guitar work. Mark Osegueda is still one of the most underrated and versatile vocalists in thrash metal. And much like some of his peers like Chuck Billy and Joey Belladonna, he actually continues to get better with age. The sound mix on this is great too. Everything is really crisp and clean without compromising the metallic sheen, without compromising the thrash fury. I don't see any reason why a diehard Death Angel fan, particularly one that enjoys the modern records, wouldn't enjoy this record. It's got pretty much everything you're looking for with a few subtle little tricks and surprises up its sleeve. Again, nothing groundbreaking, but just enough to show that the band still got it, just enough to show that they aren't quite as stubborn as Overkill. We haven't reached those levels just yet. Although I will say that if they continue down this line, it's safe to say that they could reach those levels. I mean, as far as modern Overkill is concerned, I don't even care if they release another album. I really don't want to hear it. It's the same album over and over. We're not at that point with Death Angel, but I do think they need to be careful nonetheless. Although that being said, some people still think that Overkill album is album of the year material, so what the fuck do I know? 3.5 out of 5, a conventional, somewhat predictable, but ultimately still highly entertaining modern metal record from true thrash underdogs. Check it out. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be, so what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe to get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. And you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.